Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Yes Prep Virtual College Fair. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go through just a couple of housekeeping announcements while we let our participants start to stroll in. But as participants, you can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and your microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you, so the Q&A feature is the only way to get your questions asked and answered. This is just one of the many sessions that we have going on today. If you guys are signed up for any of the ones after this, that's great. If not, feel free to sign up for additional ones. And just a reminder that these presentations are being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website where you registered. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our presenters, first being the United States Air Force Academy.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for giving me a chance to me and my partner in crime, Lieutenant Erickson, to give just a quick overview of what the Air Force Academy is. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let me know if you guys can see that. And we're just going to go ahead and just quickly start. So the Air Force Academy, like the rest of the schools here, we are one of the 5 service academies. We're the premier academy for the Air Force and now the Space Force. And so at the Air Force Academy, what you're going to primarily focus on your 4 years is what we call the whole person concept. And that's being developed in 3 key aspects. That is academics, your physical fitness, and then your military training. And all that just kind of helps you build on your character and your leadership skills. So you're going to hear about probably all the similar experiences to what all the service academies are like. So what separates us at the Air Force Academy primarily is our airmanship programs, right? So a lot of our, since the sky is our domain in the Air Force, the biggest benefit that if you come to the Air Force Academy that'll separate from the rest of the service academies is the fact that you're going to have a bunch of airmanship opportunities. And one of our, perhaps our most famous one, is our jump program. So for those of you who maybe want interested in jumping out of airplanes, the Air Force Academy is a great place to do that. It's the only place in the country that I know of that your first 5 jumps are by yourself. So you're responsible for jumping out of the plane and pulling your own parachute. We also get a chance to put you in the cockpit of a couple planes too, through our soaring program, which we get to fly a glider, which is a plane with no engine. And then we also have our powered flight program, which is a very similar curriculum to the glider program. However, now you're flying an aircraft with an engine. And now with the creation of the Space Force, there's been a surge of interest in some of the space programs that we offer. Perhaps our most famous one and popular one is our Falcon Sat program, which gives our cadets a chance to not only design and build a satellite that'll get launched into space, but they'll get to maintain it while it's out there. And then another part that separates us too is our location. We're located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. So for those of you who are very outdoorsy individuals, Colorado is an awesome state, especially in the wintertime. We're only a couple hours drives away from some of the best skiing and snowboarding in the world. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my partner in crime, Lieutenant Erickson, and talk about the career fields.
Right, so career fields. So we have 35 different career fields for the Air Force. So roughly 50% of each graduating class is going to go pilot. So if you're interested in becoming a pilot for the Air Force, the Academy is going to be the premier way to get there. With the creation of our new Space Force, now 10% of our graduating class is going to go to the Space Force. So that's about 100 cadets per graduating class is going to go ahead and become Space Force officers. And finally, if you're more interested maybe in attending and receiving a master's degree, 10% of our graduating classes go to graduate school. That would be law school, medical school, public policy. All this is going to be paid for by the Air Force upon graduation. And so how to get started? So academyadmissions.com. So this is going to be your one-stop shop for everything. This is where you're going to go and start creating your application, starting with the pre-candidate questionnaire. I'm not sure what classes are with us, but if you are a junior summer seminar, we are having that this summer. The application opens in December, and that's essentially a program where you spend a week at the Academy, learning the ins and outs of what it's like to be a cadet at the Air Force Academy. This is also where you're going to get all of our COVID information as regarding test scores and all that good stuff. So the application, so these are the 5 things that make up our application. Academically competitive, and we'll show our averages on the next slide. Physically qualified, that's going to be our CFA, the Candidate Fitness Assessment, is a physical fitness test that you take and only submit once. medically qualified, that's through DODMER. It's essentially going to a doctor, getting a physical, make sure that you are medically qualified to serve in the United States Air Force. Character and leadership demonstrations. So this is where we want to see you involved in programs and organizations, clubs, and demonstrating your character and leadership skills. We encourage people to be involved in a lot as much as they can handle, but we don't want you to just be there at the surface level. We want to see you actually involved, achieving those leadership roles. And finally, nominations. So by law, like a couple of the other service academies, it is you have to have a nomination from a nominating source in order to be accepted into the academy. These nomination applications are completely different than the academies. So getting on your nominating source's website, whether that be your 2 state senators, your congressman or woman, or the vice president, get on their websites and see kind of what their timelines are. So here's our academically competitive slide. So this is all of our averages that we see from each incoming class roughly. One thing that we want to stress is that these are averages. There are other ways in the application to make up if maybe your high school GPA isn't near the 3.85. I know mine wasn't, and I've found ways to make up for it in the other fields, more specifically the character and leadership and the physical fitness pieces. And so here's some of the other great things about the academy. Much like West Point, Annapolis, and all the other service academies, I believe, there's no tuition, no room and board costs, it's all free. You also get a monthly stipend, and your medical and dental is covered. And you also have a guaranteed career upon graduation as well.
Okay, great. So with that being said, let me share my screen quick, and we will now move on to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Good morning, everyone, or yes, it's morning still. My name is Lieutenant Junior Grade Emily Torsey. I am the Northeast Admissions Officer for the Coast Guard Academy, so I'm not your admissions officer. However, I can provide all the same information. Your admissions officer is Lieutenant Junior Grade Jacob Brown, and he is still located in this office. He just couldn't be with us today. His information is on our website at uscga.edu under the admissions officer page. So I highly encourage you to reach out, email, or call him. He will be your primary resource as you navigate the admissions process. So that being said, I'll kind of break down into the Coast Guard Academy here. We are located in beautiful New London, Connecticut, right along the Thames River, 103 acres in size, nestled between Hartford, Connecticut, New York, and Boston, Massachusetts. So extremely prime location in terms of our area. So although when you first report to the academy, your freedoms and liberties will be limited, you will be able to explore a lot of these beautiful spots as you go on through your career here at the academy. A little bit about the Coast Guard. What makes us different from the other service academies is that we are Department of Homeland Security and not Department of Defense. We have a humanitarian mission, core values being honor, respect, and devotion to duty, and we focus on 11 statutory missions. So a lot of people always ask me like, oh, you must jump out of helicopters and save people in the water. And I'm just like, well, yes, we do that. I don't, however. And they go, okay, well, then you must be running down drug runners and, migrant interdiction and things of that nature. And I'm just like, well, we do that too. I don't do that though. My point being here is that the Coast Guard has a number of opportunities available for career paths, and a lot that many of us don't even know really exist, and they do intermingle and intertwine quite a bit. So in addition to search and rescue, migrant and drug interdiction, we also support aids to navigation, which is what I did on the Coast Guard Cutter Oak right here behind me, which supports the marine transportation system and makes sure that you got your toilet paper during the coronavirus pandemic here. We also do ice operations, marine and environmental protection, ports, waterway security, and all of these include afloat units, ashore units, and also a lot of aviation units. So we do have fixed wing and helos. If you want to be a pilot, the Coast Guard is a great place to do it. And we have a lot of different billets for pilots as well. So a little bit about the Corps of Cadets here at the Academy. Just over 1,000 cadets here at the Academy, 38% of which are currently female, 35% minority, all 50 states represented, as well as 20 nations. We do guarantee 100% job placement after graduation from the Academy. There are flight school options as well as graduate school options. So the Coast Guard will cover your graduate school in totality. You'll just have to tack on a little bit of more service obligation. However, you'll get to do it exactly in what you majored in grad school. So it's wonderful. You can have your primary career path and then your secondary career path. We also have an 85% graduate retention rate. This is my favorite statistic because it's not the amount of individuals who graduate after entering the Academy, it's the amount of individuals that choose to stay in the Coast Guard following their 5-year service obligation. So 85% of those cadets who graduated and did their 5 years will then stay in afterwards. So I think it's a testament to our service as a whole. So moving forward, we do not require a congressional nomination, which makes us different from the other service academies. So that's definitely something to note in your application process. We just want you to focus on the application purely. We do have 3 pillars that we base our foundation and curriculum off of. It is military, athletics, and academics. We do include a lot of leadership and professional development opportunities in that time here at the Academy. 9 majors, all of which are STEM-based and graduate with a Bachelor of Science. Even our management and our government majors have a BS upon graduation. Our newest major that I love to share about is a cyber systems major. So it's so new, in fact, that our highest level cadets with that major are currently juniors or second classes here at the Academy. And that will become its own operational career path as well. So sports, 26 varsity sports, 3 of which are D1. Those are sailing, rifle, and pistol. If you are interested in playing a sport at the Academy and you are currently a varsity athlete, I encourage you to reach out to those coaches. That will aid in the competitive nature of your application, as we do an athletic potential review. We also do a music potential review. So if you play an instrument, if you're in band or orchestra, anything of that nature, reach out to the music director. And if you need those contacts, you can reach out to Lieutenant Junior Grade Jacob Brown and he can provide them with you. So over 50 cadet activities as well. So a lot of opportunity for different involvements if sports are not your go-to thing. And then application requirements, letter of recommendations from an English, a math teacher, a guidance counselor, and then our physical fitness exam counts as a letter of recommendation. The PFE is different from the CFA. In this year, you can have a parent administer it due to the coronavirus epidemic if need be. We will need your transcript, test scores. So for early action, we are requiring test scores. However, for regular admission, we are test flexible. We want to see that you made every attempt to take an SAT or an ACT, but ultimately it will not prevent you from being reviewed at the end of the regular admission cycle. Personal statements, and once again, that music and athletic potential review. So personal statements, if there's an optional personal statement, fill it out. It shows self-motivation. And once again, deadlines are early action October 15th, and regular admission January 29th.
Thank you so much. All righty, and we will now move on, excuse me, to the U.S. Military Academy.
All right, let me get these slides pulled up here in a second. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Alex Porter. I'm the Southwest Outreach Officer for West Point Admissions. I'm excited to get to talk to you all today about the Military Academy real quickly. So first off, this is West Point. We're about 50 miles north of New York City, located in the historic location in the Hudson Valley. And we're the military academy that produces officers for the Army. So a lot of this will sound similar to what you heard from Air Force. We're the Army version of it. So the bottom line here is that as a West Point cadet, you'll graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree, fully funded by the government. And then you get to start off in a great job as soon as you graduate and take the oath of office as a lieutenant in the Army, being a commissioned officer and being in charge of soldiers the day you graduate. So West Point has a legacy of leadership. We say that our mission here is developing leaders of character. And you can see examples of some of those people here, some people you've seen in history books, General MacArthur, President Eisenhower, President Grant, but I also want to draw your attention to some of the more recent people on here. So Coach K at Duke, Alex Gorski is CEO of Johnson & Johnson, General West. So people who go on to great things in society, not just in the military, but in civilian life if they decide to do that as well afterwards. And we develop these leaders through these 5 different pillars. So academic, physical, military, and character. And we're going to talk about each one of these a little bit here. So first off, our academic rankings. I'll let you all read the numbers here, but as you can see, bottom line is that we're a great, highly ranked school. Really, the number we're most proud of here is our #1 most successful professors. So we have really small class sizes, 15 to 20 cadets usually, so you're not just a number in a giant lecture hall, and really get to have a personal connection with your professors and instructors. And we're also in pretty good company down here for the schools we're ranked with for most Rhodes and Marshall scholars as well. For academic majors, well, West Point has historically been an engineering school. We also have a wide variety of majors, not just in the STEM fields, but also in things like English, economics, political science, psychology, foreign languages, whatever it is you're interested in. We can find a major here at West Point. Another great thing about our academic program is all of the opportunities cadets have for broadening experiences, whether that's a semester abroad, going to an internship or a military school somewhere else. So just some examples of those things that I did when I was a cadet. I interned at the State Department one summer. I worked in France on a military base there for one summer, and I got a couple of other chances to travel to France, Germany, and Canada as part of my studies while I was a cadet. Then on our military development side, so all cadets will go through cadet basic training. So that's the first summer when you graduate from high school and arrive to West Point in July. You go through the basics of marching, shooting a rifle, doing physical training, and then you do more field training throughout the rest of the summers at West Point as well. In addition to that, there's lots of other training opportunities in the wider Army and in other countries. So things like jumping out of planes, rappelling out of helicopters, combat diving, mountaineering, all kinds of other schools like that, if you're interested in them, that you can pursue as well. So for physical development, all cadets go through a rigorous PE program, and that's classes like boxing, survival swimming, grappling, and then as well there's your Army fitness test that you take. They're the same ones that you take when you graduate and are an officer in the Army, and our indoor obstacle course test as well. And one of our mottos here since the time of General MacArthur, every cadet is an athlete. So whether you're in a D1 sport, a club team like marathon, triathlon, fencing that a lot of people walk on to, or your company athletic intramural teams, everybody's participating in some kind of sport while they're a cadet at West Point. So the application process, you heard a little bit about this from Air Force earlier. Ours is pretty similar. It's broken down into the actual candidate application that we look at here at West Point. The nomination piece for everyone has to be nominated by a member of Congress or service-connected nomination if your parents have military service, and the medical qualification to make sure that you're medically fit to serve in the military. So what we're looking for at West Point is the whole person. We want well-rounded candidates. So academics, as you can see here, are 60%. That's the heaviest portion of the weighting. And we require your SAT or ACT with that essay or writing section. But we also look for things like your leadership abilities. So we want people who are not just academically performing well, but also have a lot of extracurricular activities, and not just a lot of them, but being in leadership positions in whatever they're doing, really getting to show that leadership potential already as a high school student. And then finally, we also have the candidate fitness assessment, like Air Force and Navy will talk about, and an interview as well that are required. So normally this is the part where I would tell you all about, the great opportunities to come and visit West Point. Unfortunately, as of now, we are not open for visits due to COVID and keeping the cadets safe from too much traffic on West Point. But we have a great virtual campus experience you can see at westpointadmissions.com with some videos and interviews with cadets and faculty members all over campus. And finally, for those of you who are juniors, summer leadership experience is a great thing to apply for. The application will open up in January of your junior year, and it's really a one-week immersion experience at West Point to get to just see the military lifestyle, see what it's like up here, getting a sense of what that summer training time is like, and just really give yourself a sense of whether it's somewhere you can imagine yourself being, and if it's a challenge that you think you want to take on. So again, here's the deadlines for the application, and then finally I'll just leave it on this slide. Go ahead, and if you're interested, follow our West Point Admissions social media accounts, and I've got my email address and phone number down there as well if you want to get in touch with me afterwards and talk about the application, my experience in the Army, or anything else. So again, thank you for having me on today.
Great, thanks so much. And we will now move on to the United States Naval Academy. Hi, Lee, you're just muted. You just need to unmute yourself.
There we go. Good morning. My name is Lee McNeil. I am a regional admissions director at the United States Naval Academy. I have responsibility for the Midwestern part of the United States and Texas, and that is why I'm here with you today. So let's talk a little bit about the Naval Academy, or the Yard. That's the word that we use to refer to our campus. We are located in Annapolis, Maryland. It's 25 miles from Baltimore and 25 miles from Washington, D.C., a great place to go to school, right on the water. Our yard contains everything that our midshipmen, which is the word that we use for our students, could possibly need, from a barber shop or a beauty shop to a midshipman store, which some people call our bookstore, although it doesn't have any books in it. It has a lot of other things. Laundry, dry cleaning, a cobbler, and full medical, dental, and optometry facilities. The brigade is the term that we use to refer to our student body. And the brigade represents all 50 states, U.S. territories, and foreign countries. We have foreign students that study with us, just like at traditional colleges and universities. Our midshipmen represent diverse cultural heritages because we try to represent who we are as a nation. We have sailors and Marines that come to us from the fleet and from the Marine Corps. And our students are leaders in their communities and their schools, they're academic scholars, and they're varsity athletes. So we are a top-notch four-year public college. We have a great aerospace engineering program. We have wonderful professors and other staff members that work with our midshipmen. And our midshipmen arrive to us and they get this four-year college education basically on a full scholarship. It includes tuition, their room and board, which is food, and the full medical and dental coverage, books, supplies, everything that you could possibly need to be successful, including a computer. Our midshipmen receive a stipend every month. That stipend starts out at $1,150 a month, but you don't get that whole $1,150. There are deductions that get taken out of it, but you do get some money in your pocket to get a soda, go out to dinner, or go home for Christmas break. All of our students graduate with a Bachelor's of Science degree, regardless of major. That's because of the STEM core that all of our students take. That's 3 semesters of calculus and an additional semester of mathematics, a number of engineering courses, cyber courses. And so that engineering core, that STEM core, enables us to award a Bachelor's of Science degree to all of our students, even our English and political science majors. Our midshipmen, they graduate or commissioned as officers in either the Navy or the U.S. Marine Corps, and they incur a minimum of a 5-year service commitment in communities like surface warfare, aviation, special warfare. We say a minimum of 5-year commitment because it all depends on what job you have after graduation. For example, pilots, it costs us about $1 million or $1.5 million to educate a pilot after graduation. And so an aviator incurs a longer service commitment, and I think that's fair. We have 25 available majors, most of them in engineering, weapons, and mathematics and science. Our newest major is cyber operations. We were the first institution of education in the United States to have a standalone cyber operations major, and we have a brand new building coming online in 2021. It'll be a great place for students to take their cyber courses. It's going to be quite a facility. We have 33 Division 1A varsity athletics. We have sports for men, women, and we have co-ed sports. So how does the admissions process work? Just like West Point and Air Force and the rest of the service academies, it's very similar. You submit a preliminary application online, and that makes you an official candidate for the service academy. You have to be qualified academically by the admissions board. physically by the Candidate Fitness Assessment, medically by the Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board, and you must obtain the nomination, and that enables you to compete for an appointment to the United States Naval Academy, but hopefully you get that offer of appointment. So what kind of advice do I have for you if you're interested in applying to Navy? Well, first, you should have a strong foundation in STEM. That means that you should be taking as rigorous math and science courses as you can take, including chemistry and physics with a lab. We don't say that we have a minimum GPA, but we do ask you to strive to be in the top 20% of your class. We do advise you to take your SAT or ACT early and often. We don't have a minimum for either score, but we do list here just some of the median scores. So for the math SAT, it's about 620 to 730, verbal 610 to 740. And you can see what the ACT equivalents are. We do super score across tests, so there's no reason not to take both and see which one you do better on. We also have gone to a test flexible policy for this year. We do want you to try to take the test, but if you can't, we'll work with you. We do encourage our students to take AP, honors, IB, or even dual enrollment courses. And we are also looking for well-rounded leaders. We're looking for students that participate in athletics and community service and in other activities in their schools and in their communities. So this is my contact information. It's lmcneil@usna.edu is the best way to get in touch with me. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we will now move on to our last presenters, the United States Air Force ROTC.
All righty, good morning, everyone. So my name is Lieutenant Ortel. With me today I have Lieutenant Adams, and we're both advisors for Air Force ROTC. So you just heard from all of the service academies that are offered, around the United States. So those are one option to get into a military branch. But as you just saw, they're all extremely competitive to get into. You need a nomination and all that kind of thing. So if that isn't looking feasible for you, ROTC could be a great option. So we're going to dive in a little bit about what ROTC is and how it differs from a service academy. So ROTC is an officer training program that's offered at over 1,200 college campuses around the country. So the main difference here that you're seeing is that you can go to whatever school you want to go to and do ROTC, anywhere from a community college all the way up to, an Ivy League at Harvard school. So that's kind of what sets us apart. But the outcome is exactly the same as the Air Force Academy. So you'll still commission to either the Air or the Space Force after graduation. So we're going to talk a little bit about cadet life.
Yeah, so with ROTC, there's the academic component. You're working towards a specific major and minor combination, but you're also working to train to become an officer in the Air or Space Force. And with ROTC, cadet life is very much a part-time program. So you're able to focus on your classes. You're able to be involved with other clubs and organizations on campus. Lieutenant Ortel, he actually worked a part-time job, and the both of us played on our respective schools' sports teams. Now with cadet life, there are three overarching components. The first is going to be physical training. This is working out 2 to 3 times a week with your cadet wing. And just so you know, the cadet wing is all the students on your respective campus who is participating in Air Force ROTC. So that's PT, working out together. The second component is going to be aerospace studies. It's a class that teaches you about the Air Force history, our heritage, and the different career options that are available to you, which the Academy has glossed over, and we will as well. The third component is going to be Leadership Lab. This is where you work together on team building exercises. You might march around campus and learn the basics of drill, or guest speakers might come in and talk to you about their experience in the Air Force. And all of this with cadet life is going to be 5 to 6 hours a week. And you get to choose really what you want to invest your time in, whether it's ROTC, your respective other organizations on campus, or a club sports team. So with that, Lieutenant Ortel, do you want to talk to us about careers?
Yeah, so the careers out of ROTC or Air Force ROTC are going to be the exact same as out of the Air Force Academy. So these are the career opportunities you're looking at in the Air Force, just a few of them. There's 35 different officer career fields. So these are just a few. The big one that we have is pilot. Obviously, Lieutenant Adams and I are both going to pilot training after our gig here. So we're super excited for that. Additionally, awesome opportunity. We now are one of the few commissioning sources for the Space Force as well. So these are your 5 Space Force officer jobs right now. And there's a lot of cool opportunities to do things in the brand new Space Force branch. Additionally, I just want to point out that out of Air Force ROTC, our service commitment to serve in the military is 4 years, which differs from the academies, which is going to be 5 years. There obviously are still those exceptions for pilot and the other career fields that take extensive training, but most jobs are going to be a 4-year commitment. So now let's talk scholarships and how we can help you pay for college.
So with scholarships, it's a generic application, and we'll dive into the different components in a second. But if you're selected, you're going to be offered one of these 3 types of scholarships. You'll see that they cover tuition and fees, and it just depends on if the scholarship is eligible at an in-state public school, any university in the nation. So just notice that difference there. We also have a monthly stipend, which is just money in your bank account to use on what you'd like. And with that, the application is open to high school seniors. We have academic minimums to just be eligible to apply. And you're going to see there, that's the 1240 SAT or the 26 ACT. We don't accept super scores with Air Force ROTC. And then you also have to have an unweighted 3.0 GPA, and that's just to apply. With that, similar to the academies, your leadership potential is going to be evaluated throughout your application, but unlike the academies, we are not going to require a nomination to be able to submit that. And just note that the first year that you're really in the program, if you're offered a scholarship and you elect to go into Air Force ROTC that first year in college, it's a freebie, which means you can leave at any point, no questions asked, you having incurred no sort of service commitment, and you don't have to pay your scholarship back. Lieutenant Ortel, do you have anything else to add with Air Force ROTC?
Sure, so that's kind of a really brief rundown of what ROTC is. The main takeaway here is that we're an officer training program, so we're not a school. So that's really what sets us apart. So if you have any more questions about us or about ROTC, here's our information. Feel free to reach out. Additionally, this QR code here in the middle will take you to a Google form that you can fill out, and we'll reach out to get in contact with you about your application. So with that, sir, that's what we got.
Great, thank you so much. So to all our participants, thank you for joining us today, and for all our presenters, thank you so much for your time. For our participants today, if you guys do have any questions, we do have about 10 minutes left, so feel free to put them in the Q&A chat, and our panelists here can answer them. If they keep their answers short, they can just answer them. They can turn their camera back on and they can answer them just live. If not, they can just answer them in the Q&A feature, whichever easiest for them. And participants, if you don't have any questions, feel free to head out. When you close the window, there will be a very quick 4-question survey that will appear. We'd appreciate any feedback you'd like to provide, because we're always looking to improve upon these presentations. Just a reminder, again, there are 2 more sessions after this, so if you'd like to sign up for more, please feel free to do so. And in about a week, these recordings will be available, or this recording will be available, and you can watch it again if you missed any questions. Thank you so much. Looks like there are a couple questions for Yep, ROTC and West Point, as well as just one vague one about sports. Not sure if that was meant for a specific institution.
Well, since it's pretty quiet, I guess I'll hop on and answer one of these good questions out loud. Um, one of the questions was, as member of ROTC, could you quit at any time? So short answer, yes. So through ROTC, you can participate up to a full 2 years in the program without incurring any military commitment. If you're on scholarship, you have to decide after 1 year, but you do not need a scholarship to participate in ROTC. So even if you don't meet those minimum academic standards that we talked about, you can still participate in ROTC and try and compete for a scholarship once you're in the program.
I have a little under 5 minutes left, so if there are any last questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. And if any of the reps want to unmute themselves, they can feel free to just answer it out loud quick.
So I'll hop in and answer a question about what's the experience for basic training like. So for the service academies, you don't go through the full regular, Army, Air Force, or Navy basic training. Instead, you have about a 6-week basic training in the summer when you come in after high school. And then over the summers from there, you do more training at the academy. And finally, after you graduate, you'll do your specific training for whatever specialty you're going into. So whether you're doing military intelligence, flying helicopters, being in the infantry, driving ships in the Navy. You go to your training for that specific thing after you graduate from the school.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'll add on to that a little bit. So when all of these options you heard from today are routes to become an officer. So the basic training that you typically hear about is how you get through the enlistment process. So the officers, if you're not familiar, make up about 20% of the military. They're really the leadership and the organizers and the planners in the military. So that's kind of how we differ. So there's no, you don't go through the normal basic training through any of these routes.
Right. And so just to add on just real quickly here at the end. So for the Air Force Academy's basic training, it's 6 weeks, just like Navy and West Point and the other service academies, I believe. But the first 3 weeks that's going to be more so for your military decorum, learning how to march, salute, make hospital bed, decorum, customs and courtesies, military history, Air Force history, and knowledge. Not to say there isn't any physical training attached to it, because there is. But that's going to be more so for the second 3-week period out in Jacks Valley. You'll go out there for a week and a half in a simulated deployed environment. And this is where you're going to get more of your field skills learning and stuff like that. So how to shoot a rifle, rucking, land navigation, obstacle courses, and stuff like that. And so after those 6 weeks, barring that you've passed everything that you need to, you'll be accepted in the cadet wing.
We have about 1 minute left. So any last questions, feel free to ask them now. If not, I will end the session at 9:40, or excuse me, at the 45 mark in about a minute from now.